Welcome back to the debate between Harris County District Attorney Devin Anderson and challenger Kim Ogg. It's good to have you with us. This question is for both of you, and Ms. Anderson, we're going to start with you. Thousands of people are charged with marijuana possession each year in Harris County, possessing less than 4 ounces, and they're jailed, costing taxpayers millions of dollars. What is your plan to handle these cases, and how is it better than your opponents?
Well, next month I'm starting a program called the First Chance Intervention Program. My opponent likes to call it the Me Too because she thinks I thought of it after her, but I've actually been working on this for close to a year with the sheriff and the chief. Her plan is a cite and release, which has been a miserable failure, at least in Travis County. They had a 40% no-show rate. So we're actually going to have an arrest. You will be arrested and transported, but if you're a first offender, never been in trouble before, and you're possessing less than 2 ounces of marijuana, we will give you an opportunity to do some community service or do a class, and then you'll have nothing on your record. My opponent is offering it to anyone, and she's offering it for any drug, Class A or B. We are going to only give it to people who are a self-correcting group of people who will be scared straight by this process, and we'll never see them again in the criminal justice system.
Ms. Ogg, you have a minute to answer.
I believe that the future of misdemeanor marijuana drug prosecution is a program that I've dubbed GRACE. It's not the Me Too program of my opponent. It's an original program that I unveiled at the beginning of August this year. This program would allow anyone charged with misdemeanor possession of marijuana to not go to jail, to go directly to court instead. If they fail to appear, we'll write a warrant for their arrest and the police can kick their door. I expect that they will show up. We'll offer them then 2 days community service in a program called Clean and Green that I started back in 2007 for the Port of Houston. Clean and Green will see that they remove trash from the bayous, keeping their record clean and keeping our waterways clean and repaying our community at the same time. The public wants change on marijuana prosecution, and they're tired of wasting millions of dollars on such crimes when violent predators and burglars are running our streets.
Thank you. Our next question comes from our panelist, Mustafa Tamiz, and this will be directed to Ms. Ogg first, and you will each have a minute to answer.
If you're elected on November 4th, what changes to the DA's office will you make in your first 100 days?
Going to implement the GRACE program, which will mean we'll save every officer on a marijuana arrest at least 3 hours, putting them back in patrol to protect us. I will immediately revolutionize in terms of technology and evidence the decisions we make about policies. Our policies are going to directly impact public safety. Grand jury reform has to be at the top of the list to restore public trust in our justice system.
And Ms. Anderson.
Thank you. Well, the one main thing we'll start working on, which we've already begun, is on the budget, because we need to increase our personnel. Right now we have 300 prosecutors where LA has 1,000, Chicago has 600. We are woefully understaffed, although the prosecutors do a brilliant job, as do all the support staff. We will continue with the training that we have, making us experts in all areas of law, which makes this a safer community because we get great verdicts on our sentences, on our trials. Also, we are seeking diversity in hiring. The first assistant, Belinda Hill, is the head of the hiring committee, and our goal is to make our office look like Houston. And every month or so, I meet with new prosecutors, and I'm seeing more and more diversity with the people that I meet. We want people to have trust in our office and understand that our main goal is the safety of the public and getting justice for crime victims.
And our next question is going to come from our panelist, Jackie Valley, and Ms. Anderson will answer first, followed by Ms. Ogg.
Ms. Anderson, in your opening statements, you commented that your office is working to reduce the backlog of capital murder cases and strengthening the human trafficking division. How are your resources supported by the budget? Where are you getting the resources for these two issues?
For the Capital Murder Project Court, we have been partnering with the Budget Office of Harris County. We had a huge backlog of capital murder cases where the death penalty was not being sought. over 200 cases had not been tried. So with the help of the Budget Office, we've hired 2 judges who do nothing but try capital murder cases. And in 10 months, we've disposed of 83 of those cases. You can compare that to 2012, where we disposed of 30. So this has been a huge success. With human trafficking, we started out with 1 prosecutor, an excellent prosecutor who is an expert in the area, but when her case load reached to 300, we just moved another prosecutor in there and an investigator, because unfortunately, that area of the law is booming. So I hope with the next budget, we'll be able to give her even more help to prosecute these very serious cases.
And Ms. Ogg, same question, how will you work to strengthen these 2 divisions?
Our district attorney currently has a $68 million budget. I propose specializing in case prosecution at the front door, at intake. We're going to fully staff divisions like human trafficking, gangs, white collar. Divisions now that are only staffed by 1 or 2 lawyers, occasionally 3. We need to devote our resources to the crimes that are important to our public safety. And those crimes are not small-time drug possession cases. That's where our money's going right now. So I'm emphasizing quality prosecution, not quantity prosecution, aiming at the most dangerous people. Cartels run the trafficking operations here in Houston. We're putting them on our most wanted list. We'll seek and destroy those organizations.
And now the head of our panel, Chris Tritico, has a question for both candidates, and Kim Ogg, you will answer first, followed by Ms. Anderson.
The job of a prosecutor is to see that justice is done, not just get convictions. What would you do to a prosecutor who knowingly suppressed evidence and used false testimony? Would you support making such conduct a criminal offense?
Integrity in prosecution is critical to the public trust. When we have officers of the court who lie, who backdate orders, who cheat in some way to gain advantage over a criminal defendant, that's criminal. And all such crimes will be investigated and prosecuted. No more cronyism, no more backroom deals for friends. It's got to be evident to the public that there's one standard of law in Harris County and that it applies to everyone equally. So I think we make examples of public officials, anyone who's a lawyer or a police officer or a judge who violates the law is held to a higher degree of, I think, trust by the community, and therefore must be held to the equal standard of law that would apply to any one of us accused of such a crime.
And Ms. Anderson.
As I said earlier, we've been training on Brady issues. We've been training on ethics. It comes from the top in an office. For 22 years, I've been down at that courthouse, and you can ask anybody there how I've conducted my business. I think it's probably why I got 86% of the bar poll saying that I was qualified or well qualified. I believe in complete transparency in prosecution and giving the defense everything we have. My prosecutors know that if I found out that one of them had knowingly, intentionally suppressed exculpatory evidence, they would be fired. It's that simple.
And I think we may have time for one more question this block before, I'm being told we're going to go to a break. We'll be right back with more of our district attorney debate.